Everybody thinks they know New Orleans food. You know, gumbo, jambalaya, bread pudding, the old classics. But in fact, the new chefs of New Orleans are whipping up a cuisine here that rivals anything that you can find anywhere else in the world. I should know. I got my start right here in New Orleans at some of its very best restaurants. Commander's Palace, Emeril's Nola, and as head chef at one of my favorite restaurants, Gautreaux's. Hi, I'm Michael Saxer, and I'm here to give you a taste of New Orleans. The reason I love New Orleans is because of places like Gautreaux's. It originally started out as an apothecary in a quiet uptown neighborhood on Soniat Street, way back in the early 20th century. Gautreaux's opened in 1982, but since 1993, it's been the domain of owner Patrick Singley. He's been training a virtual who's who of top culinary talent to produce a unique, contemporary Louisiana cuisine. Chefs like Susan Zemanek, one of Food & Wine's 10 best new chefs of 2008.
Oh, hi.
How are you?
Good to see you, Michael.
Good to see you as well. I'll tell you what, it's nice to be back, but it's got a new look, huh?
Oh, yeah, it's a lot different than when you were here.
Yeah, a little bit. What you got? What you doing?
I'm cooking some snapper today, making some gnocchis. You want to help?
Roll up my sleeves.
All right, great.
Now, where did the inspiration for this dish come from?
It's just something that I often do is gnocchis with fish. I think it's a nice texture, contrast, and it's just something that we ran as a special one day. I like beurre rouge as opposed to a beurre blanc. I think it adds a little bit more depth and flavor, and it's just a nice dish that we came up with. So we decided to put it on the menu.
I love cooking here because, I mean, New Orleans is a great place. It has such a unique cuisine that you can't find anywhere else.
Absolutely, I agree. I mean, it's just the perfect blend of Caribbean, European influence with little spatterings of Indian, Portuguese, Native American. I've never been any place in the world that has a cuisine like this, where people eat and cook so well, so often.
Oh, I agree with you. The food here is unlike any food anywhere else.
Stay right where you are for more great cooking from Gautreaux's and their Taste of New Orleans. So tell me, I mean, how did you end up in New Orleans?
Well, I decided to come to New Orleans in 2001, and I've always wanted to live here, even though I had never visited here. I've always loved what I've read and the culture and the cuisine that I've tried. You know, in Yankee Land. I came down here and I went to the gas station. I had my first piece of boudin in Mandeville, and I had a friend that was living down here, and I stayed with her, and she took me there, and it was great. And ever since that link of boudin, I've been hooked.
Yeah, nice and crispy the skin is.
Oh yeah, that looks great. Garlic and the shallots are coming out.
Yeah, definitely. I put a lot of garlic and shallots in all my food. It's a basis of good flavor. You want to sauce around?
Absolutely.
That's beautiful. It's good enough to eat.
I come in for 11, and my walk-in is upstairs, so for the first hour, I'm up and down the steps, carrying food and stocks and sauces and things that need some time to cook. I bring those down first and start working on those things. I like to do all the stocks and sauces myself because if they're messed up, it takes a long time to start them over. It's a couple of day process. And then I just start cooking.
My name's Patrick Singley. I'm the owner of Gautreaux's. The vision I have and have always had is less is better. Quality is what people want. We don't have any gimmicks or tricks. We don't use hyper service as a lure to get people in. You won't see a captain in a tuxedo walking around with a taste of vin around his neck. We just give simple, understated quality service, and our food reflects that same level of quality. And I hire chefs that work that way.
People like to come here and drink and socialize and have a good time. It's almost like a little secret dining club, and sometimes people won't leave. So you can't really have a table right behind them if they're here for 3-4 hours, which is great. We want them to enjoy themselves. I still go to the farmer's market on Tuesdays and Saturdays to try to get the freshest, best local ingredients. And it's nice to have a smaller restaurant because sometimes there's not enough of the tomatoes or the baby eggplant or the squash blossoms that I'm getting at the farmer's market, and I have just enough to do 20 specials, and that's all I need for a 60-seat restaurant. So it's nice. We're very involved in the food that goes onto the plate. It's one way or another, whether it's a local fisherman or crabber or farmer. So it's very local.
Is it frozen?
No,
It's fresh?
fresh, yes.
I'm here usually from 11 to close, and we just do the prep work during the day. At 2 o'clock, my kitchen crew gets here, and they start working on their stations. They butcher their fish, their meat, they cook their vegetables and different types of starches. I usually make desserts during the morning to get that out of the way, and then we just go into service at 6 o'clock, and the war begins.
It's impossible to be a New Orleanian without talking about whatever your Katrina experience happened to be, where you were in and around the time, how it's been since. Everybody's story is different.
Well, I had recently taken over as chef 3 weeks before Katrina. So I was very overwhelmed and basically
Yeah, I'd say you were.
losing my mind, just trying to get my bearings and get my grips on this place. And the storm hit, the levees broke. We lost about 7 feet of the roof, and the water came in. And when we came back, the cooler doors had been blown off from the gases building up inside of them, and the restaurant was destroyed. So it took a year and a half for us to rebuild and remodel.
Wow. It's a really exciting time to be in New Orleans in every way, post-Katrina and whatnot. People are learning about our city, but I find that as a chef, the food today is more cutting edge and newer and lighter than it's ever been.
Well, I think the storm had a lot to do with that, and ever since Katrina, there's been all these new restaurants that have opened up, and I think it gave people that always had this idea, entrepreneurial people, that little boost to get them into a space that they could have never rented before or bought or leased. And now with all these open doors, you know, the sky's the limit here in New Orleans.
Next time, we'll be back for more of the new wave of New Orleans' best bistros and restaurants. It's just another taste of New Orleans.
Chicken salad. There you go. Turn it up.